Let me show you how fuel goes glug glug in here, big boomer here, and poof out of this. Poof. Sure. I've got the car up in the air at the moment because I've been doing a few things on it. A lot of them are fuel system related, so I wanted to give you a bit of a rundown on how the whole fuel system runs together or hangs together from one end all the way to the other. Firstly though, I think I'll take you over to the whiteboard and we'll do a bit of a pep talk. Alright, we're going to get a bit engineering explained here and make use of the whiteboard. I'll talk you through the sort of technical side of things of how the fuel system hangs together on the car. Essentially going from right to left and then kind of back again. So far right, we've got the OEM fuel tank, the factory Mazda tank as it came from Japan. Inside the tank is the upgraded DW300 fuel pump from Deutschwerks and the factory fuel level sender. Those pumps aren't that expensive. I can't remember how much I paid for it, maybe a couple of $100, but they're actually quite reasonable. I did have to do a bit of modification to get it fit, but more or less it's a bolt-in affair. Obviously, feeding fuel in via the factory fuel filler goes into the tank and fills up our tank. That's pretty much as normal. Now, the DW300 tank pump feeds fuel out and across and into the recently installed Surge tank. The Surge tank has a kind of 340 litre per hour pump, some sort of generic brand. I don't know the capability of it yet, but it should be more than enough to power the car or feed the fuel to the car. The Surge tank obviously fills from the Deutschwerks 300, and if it was to get too full, there is an overflow that feeds back into the factory tank. So we can't kind of burst the seams of the Surge tank. With the Surge tank, we've got the 340 litre per hour pump that feeds out and into our factory fuel filter. That factory fuel filter is the factory Mazda one in the factory Mazda location, so nothing particularly special there. The fuel filter feeds out and across to our fuel rail. The fuel rail lives on the engine. It's an upgraded fuel rail of a no-name brand. I don't know exactly what it is, but nonetheless, our fuel feeds through into there. Out of the fuel rail, we have our 4 injectors, the FlowForce 960cc injectors, squirting the delicious fuel into the engine. I am using E85 ethanol, in case you were interested. Out of the fuel rail, we go out, down, and across into fuel pressure regulator. I don't use the factory reg because I don't use the factory rail. The factory regulator, I'm pretty sure, is kind of integral to the fuel rail, so if you change the fuel rail, suddenly you need an aftermarket fuel pressure reg. The fuel pressure reg regulates the pressure of the fuel on the, I guess the feed side, to make sure that that is up to a set standard pressure. I can adjust it. I've set it to about, I think from memory, somewhere like 50 psi at idle. As boost increases in the engine, in theory, your fuel pressure regulator, which is vacuum fed, increases the pressure as well to kind of balance things out. As long as it's all tuned that way, it should be safe. Attached to the fuel pressure reg, I've also got a generic no-name brand of fuel pressure sender or sensor, so that I can monitor fuel pressure back to the ECU and also log it in case something goes wrong or in case the fuel pressure goes away. I've got that logged. I can see if I've got issues. Maybe it's because of that. At least by having it logged, I actually know what's going on. From the fuel pressure reg, we feed out and into the ethanol sensor. It's a generic GM/Continental branded one, or Continental, I don't know exactly how it's pronounced, but that's a pretty commonly used fuel ethanol sensor. The ethanol sensor is also good for measuring, as well as ethanol, also fuel temp, so it can do both of those things. That's a 3-wire sensor, so power, ground, and then a sensor wire back to the ECU, back to the mega squirt. Out of the ethanol sensor, we feed back through the factory return line, because it's a return system on this car. So out of the factory return line and back into the fuel tank, the main fuel tank. That's essentially all the bits and pieces and how they hang together and where the fuel flows. Now, there is one kind of slightly iffy moment in that the return from the engine, the return out of the ethanol sensor, doesn't go back to the surge tank, it goes back to the main tank. Logically, you probably would want to go back to the surge tank and then have the surge go back to the main tank. Now, while the surge does have an overflow back to the main tank, it doesn't receive the return flow from the engine side. That was kind of a conscious decision I made. It's a compromise. I'd probably rather have as much fuel feeding back into the surge tank as possible to try and keep it topped up as best as possible. But I have no doubts that the DW300 is going to be doing its job fine, and it's going to keep that tank as full as it needs to be for the most part. It's just those long left-hand corners where the surge may drop in level, but there should be enough reserve in that 1.5 litres or whatever it is in that tank to last a single corner. I'm only having issues around a single corner really. So that's the only kind of compromise. Otherwise, everything is, yeah, pretty sturdy. I use generic fuel filters. There's no specific brand. I don't use genuine Mazda ones usually. I change them annually, which is excessive, particularly on a car that does as little kilometers as this. The fuel rail being aftermarket doesn't really hurt me, but the important bit is the injectors, which are obviously a good known brand. The fuel pressure regulator is reasonable. It's I think Raceworks brand, which is kind of what I would consider okay. Not no name brand, not really premium. And the ethanol sensor, from memory, I bought used or secondhand off eBay or somewhere like that. But being a GM, kind of genuine Continental product, it's, I guess, OEM spec, made to come out of came out of a road car from somewhere. But thankfully, they wire into the Mega Squirt fine. And I guess the DW300, Deutschwerks, very well-known name brand. Their pumps, I've used the DW200 for a while in this car. The 300 has been fine. It's quite not that noisy. It's quite a quiet pump. Meanwhile, the 340 litre per hour, no name pump in the surge tank, that's a bit of an unknown for me at the moment. So we will see what happens when I start driving the car again. That's the pretty drawing. Let me show you how all these pieces hang together on the car.
Okay, so factory fuel latch, factory fuel cap. This is an NB from Japan, so it takes, I guess, regular unleaded, and there's no fuel cap nozzle catch thing. I know some cars, particularly Aussie delivered ones I know of, they have a flap here. None of that problem in Japan. I use the factory latch mechanism and all that here, no problem. The filler goes in through the factory or original hoses into the tank. This is your overflow or breather hose, and this is your feed line into the tank. The tank lives in the factory position in under here. Here is our, I guess, top of the tank. There's a sort of service cover that comes on here as factory. And there's a few connections and things that are not standard here. So typically you'd have a feed out of the tank and then a return line back into the tank for the fuel feed. Now this car's a little bit more glamorous. So we've got a feed out of the tank, which is this fitting here, and that heads down to the surge tank underneath us. We've also got a return line from that surge tank, which is this guy here, and we've got a return from the engine, which is this guy here. Over this side is a bunch of electrical connections. This one used to feed the power to the fuel pump as well as the sensor wires for the fuel level. Now this is purely for fuel level. Instead, the power for the fuel pump runs off this Deutsch connector with these bulk head type fittings here. That is essentially to upgrade the wiring to the fuel pump. Nice big fat wiring, no voltage drop problems, a good solid voltage feed into the fuel pump. Very important for MX-5s when you're running big pumps and more power and all that sort of stuff. Over here is factory breather type hose stuff. Don't need to touch that, it kind of just lives as it is. The other thing that feeds into this grommet here, which is for all these wires, is also the power feed wire for the second pump, which is part of the surge tank. The surge tank lives very closely to the other tank. It lives under here. Let me get you a light. There we go, lights are on, now we can see what's going on. Hello, this is our surge tank. This thing is here purely so that I can go around corners without running out of fuel when the tank is getting low. It has 3 hoses in and some wires. We've got a feed in from the main tank to fill the tank, this surge tank up. We've got a feed out when this tank is too full. We don't want it to pop at the seams, so the second hose returns back to the fuel tank that feeds it. And then we have a third line out of this, which is from the fuel pump that lives inside here to feed the engine. We have a 12 volt power source, which is really big beefy wires, something like 30 amps worth of wire here. That the pump should only need about 15 at worst, or at most. Inside of this is a single 340 litre per hour pump, which is in theory more than enough to keep this happy car fueled up. That's our surge tank. Now on the other side of the car, underneath the wheel well here, is where our surge tank feeds to. It feeds to the factory fuel filter location, which is this guy here. It's not an OEM filter, but it's an OEM-like replacement. And then we use the factory fuel lines, which are all of these guys here. So fuel feeds out of this filter here and along the factory fuel line to feed. It's a metal hard line feed all the way up to the engine bay. And then from the engine bay, there's also a return that comes back along here and back into the factory fuel tank up there. So let's follow this line into the engine bay. Okay, after a bit of finagling, we've now got a bonnet open with a light source so we can actually see what's going on here. It is a little bit complicated, but I guess bear with me. So up from the frame rail down here is our feed fuel line, comes up and feeds into the back of the fuel rail underneath the intake manifold here. If I swing the camera around, you can just get sight of that fuel rail, although it's kind of black, so it's kind of hidden under there. Attached to that fuel rail is our FlowForce injectors, and then the feed out of the fuel rail runs under the sort of front nose part of the intake manifold here, and it is this line here, this protected line. It feeds into what is our fuel pressure reg. Here is our fuel pressure sensor, so we can keep track of things, and our fuel pressure reg return line, I guess, as we're sort of returning out of the fuel rail. Our return line comes out of the Raceworks fuel pressure reg into the GM Continental ethanol sensor, and then back to the factory hard line here, which heads all the way back to the back of the car. Now the fuel rail is attached to the intake manifold, or the I guess the head of the engine via the factory mounting bolts, so nothing particularly unique there. However, the hoses are not factory and the fittings are not factory, so it uses brass barb fittings on each end. The Raceworks unit here has some sort of bracket that came with, which I've used and just found a spot to bolt it to the, I guess, the strut tower or the body here. And then this ethanol sensor, I've rigged up this bracket, which is not particularly glamorous, but hey, it works. This took time to work out exactly the positioning of everything, because you have to kind of think, where are the lines going to go? How are they? What's the flow of things? And how do they all kind of tee up together without having loops of hose going all over the place? So the factory hard lines down here have actually been bent from the factory orientation to kind of better suit this configuration a little bit. So we've got our hard line here, which feeds off to the back of the engine, and then this return one here, which tees up very closely with the ethanol sensor. So it's just a short piece of hose right here to bridge those two together. So it keeps things relatively simple. But yeah, the wiring for these, so you've got 3 wires here for this sensor, 3 wires here for this sensor. They all tee back into a harness here that heads off back under the dash and then to the ECU, which lives under the, I guess, under the airbag area of the dashboard inside the car. And that is about as far as it goes. It's really not that complex. A lot of it is the factory stuff, just with upgraded components in between to keep it all happy. The main important piece is powering the fuel pumps. So we've got 2 pumps in the car now, and they're both beefy boys. So under the dash, I've got 2 upgraded wires direct from the battery into relays that feed direct into the pumps. So I guess that's probably the main thing to avoid with the factory pump and the factory system when you're doing upgrades, is the wiring is known to not be able to feed the pumps and give a sufficient voltage. You can have fuel pump relays fail, or the wiring just suffers from voltage drop because the pumps pull too much amperage. Other than that, that's the thing, that's how it works. If you're wondering what this black thing behind me is, it's the wing off the car. I've unbolted it and stuck it here so that it's easier to work on at the back of the car. Thanks for watching. If you've got any more questions, anything in particular you want to know about the fuel system or anything else in the car, shout out down below. Happy to, I guess, share as much detail as you're interested in hearing.
Thanks for watching.